What's up, fam? How we doing? Mr. Wolford here. I came up pretty strong there. Anyways, just got back from 10 weeks, 18,000 miles around the country, which is a big deal for me. I know a lot of guys are doing way more miles than that, but for me that was quite the feat. I've been home for about 5 weeks now, and I've been kind of going through some personal stuff that I wanted to talk about, right? Because there's been a big delay since I've posted anything, any real content with any real substance to it. So anyhow, but nearly every single day since I've been home, I've been sitting here with my thoughts and reflection and wondering like what it is that I want to put out and what kind of content I want to create and how to keep this momentum from this trip, right? I mean, doing all 4 corners of the U.S., doubling back for Sturgis, all of the incredible people that I've met along the way. I've met friends that I met people that I feel like I'll be friends for life with, right? So that's pretty special. My connection with God was reestablished, solidified. That in and of itself is amazing. I'm so grateful for that, right? So, but since I've been home, it's been a lot of, if I'm being honest, kind of catching up on sleep. I've been struggling, man. Like, no matter how much I sleep, I want to sleep more. I'll find myself yawning in the middle of the day, right? So, that's just some of the things. One of the things that I've been dealing with is trying to catch up on rest. I didn't realize how much that whole trip, what it took out of me physically, right? Spiritually, I gained, emotionally, rewarding. But physically speaking, there was a few times along the way where I really wished I was closer to a bed or closer to home or whatever, right? But after getting home and then like sleeping through the night for weeks on end, it's crazy that I'm just now like waking up feeling rested. So I've been dealing with that, but I also found myself falling into a couple of old routines, right? So a couple of ruts that I used to be in, where I would wake up and I think I had some post-trip depression where I was just kind of sitting here. I didn't have anywhere to go or not much to do or whatever, right? And I would just kind of sit with those feelings. And it reminded me of like everything that I'm doing and why I started on this path to begin with, right? Is because sometimes we sit with things that make us feel uneasy, and then we do things to avoid those feelings, right? And if I learned anything on my trip, it's not to avoid your feelings, right? You have to kind of lean into them, sit with them, let them run their course, and then make some decisions after, right? Either you feel better or you need to explore deeper. But I've been sitting with it and a bit sad about just everything going on, that I don't have someplace cool to go or somewhere new to see. I can't express to you. I've seen a few posts over the last few weeks about people doing these little trips here and there, and like I know the excitement that they have, but when I reflect on 10 weeks around the country, I think that's an experience of a lifetime. I'll never be able to duplicate it. It's one and done. It was just me lone wolfing it around and then meeting a bunch of cool people. But I started this YouTube and this TikTok because I am a combat veteran. I'm a disabled veteran, PTSD, and it's a part of my everyday life, right? So setting in these ruts and going through these old routines, it's just taken me a little bit of time, reflection, to remind myself of what keeps me grounded. And I wanted to kind of talk about those things because I think that's important for anybody who's in this situation or has been affected by trauma, and you just find yourself in this cycle of sadness, depression, loneliness. And really what I've learned is that it mostly comes from inaction, right? When I was in Montana, I was talking with a friend of mine who runs the horse program out there, and we exchanged this quote. I sent it to him because of everything we were talking about, and it's a Rumi quote, a quote by Rumi. And he says, "As you start to walk on the way appears. Clarity doesn't come before action, it comes from action." And I guess I forgot about that these past few weeks. It's been kind of one thing after another. Being home has been a little bit different. I've had some interesting experiences with some of the people and in the town that I live in, right? And just some energy trying to get at me that I had to steer clear of. Even before I started this video, I had to bob and weave on some stuff that typically would have me pretty fired up, right? But I just have to remind myself that, you know, sometimes you just got to do it, right? You just get out there and you do what you got to do, or just start taking some steps, you know. And that's been a good thing, like to remember in the mornings for me. You know, I wake up and instead of going to my phone, it's like I go outside and I watch the sunrise, put my feet on the earth, talk to God, I set some intentions, and I meditate, right? I listen to my breathing. If I do that first thing in the morning, my day is smooth. You know, I don't feel like I'm being pulled one way or the other. But if I don't, the next thing I know, my ego is running the show, and I'm just kind of reacting to everything around me, because I don't really have a plan or a mission or whatever, right? But I guess that's not entirely true. I mean, I do have a purpose, but sometimes it's easy to feel that way. Time out. There's a bird out here. My horse is kind of freaking out. It's awesome. I'm watching you. What is that, Timber? Keep an eye on that sucker. Anyhow, so the momentum that I'm trying to keep. First of all, I want to say thank you to everybody who's followed along or started to subscribe to my YouTube or my TikTok. I mean, I think it's awesome. I've never really used either of those platforms, and I'm trying to use them for a good cause. So I do appreciate everybody who's tuning in. What I'm going to be doing in the upcoming months, right? I started a nonprofit a couple of years ago, and some things got in the way, and I wasn't able to get it off the ground. But now that I've come back from this trip, the fire in my belly has been reignited, right? So I'm working on putting a program together for veterans. It'll be a 48-hour retreat involving motorcycle riding, horsemanship, cold plunges, cowboy hot tubs, nutritional class, as well as some deep inner work, just kind of talking about some of the stuff that shows up for veterans and the problems that we have in our day-to-day lives. So stay tuned for that. Currently, my goal was to have my first cycle this month, but we had some logistical problems here at the ranch. We've got a huge water leak that we're chasing down and trying to figure out. So as soon as I can get that rectified, I'll be posting some information and looking for applicants, anybody who wants to come do some work on themselves and maybe figure out a better way to show up for themselves and their families, right? But I also recently started a podcast with my buddies, right? So that's going to be coming up, where I'm going to be getting on every week, releasing an episode and talking about some of the things near and dear to my heart that's affected me or influenced me, good or bad, right? So I want to sit down and just essentially put myself in a position to be vulnerable and to talk about the things that have ailed me and the things that have healed me, right? And I feel like there's got to be some takeaways in there, some nuggets for somebody, right? Going through a similar experience or just going through life and is having a hard time. So I know that listening to certain folks work through the problems or how they dealt with them, or how they deal with them currently has kind of helped me, because I didn't learn a lot of that stuff growing up, right? I learned how to deal with my problems in all the bad ways. So outside of that, just please be patient with me as I continue to put some content together. I'm going to be working with my horse every day as much as I can. I did just start a new job here bartending in town, so I'm splitting my time a little bit, but just trying to stay busy as well, you know. So clarity comes from action, not inaction. And this is me taking some action and putting myself holding myself accountable, right? So anyhow, I think that's enough for me today. Thanks everybody for tuning in, and hope you guys have a phenomenal weekend. Jack.